Audio only, but we're pretty.
Yeah, look at that.
We're back.
It's been a while, folks. How's everyone doing? Good.
Yeah, we've
as good as us.
We hibernated for the whole winter.
Well, I didn't hibernate. I just did the fat part. I just did the stored the fat, and I didn't really get a chance.
19 hours a day.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. Get paid for it, so we're good.
By
the way, exactly. I'm Greg.
I'm Jeff.
That's Jeff.
Yeah.
How to get that going again?
Yeah, get it.
Yeah, it's always going to be the first one that I'm always going to get mixed up.
It always is.
And we are the 4040 men. And
we are.
It has been quite a while since we've seen you guys.
Yeah, that is our current branding. I think I'm still thinking we should rebrand ourselves.
Oh, well, yeah.
Eventually.
I mean, that's what we are right now. And,
Yeah, we are and always have been and will continue to be.
Yeah.
For now.
Well, actually, I'm
49, man.
Yeah, I was going to say we got a year left. We got a year left to pull it off.
We're getting this. Hey, you know what? There could be a 50-50 guy this year.
Yeah.
It could happen.
Well, hey, I mean, that's something to talk about because we've expanded the base size. We've expanded the base size, so we've got a little more base stealing capability, right? So
Dunedin Blue Jays, baby. Thanks to the parental units for grabbing that when they were down in Florida.
Cool.
I'm still wearing a spring training hat, but this is from like when I was in Mexico. So 3 years ago. Yeah. I got to update my wardrobe.
I don't know how long I've had this hat. I love this toque. It's
a good toque.
Yeah, it's pretty kick-ass. It's a Nike one too. Yeah.
I got one of those toques, except it's got the ball on it. I'm not really one with the pom-pom. I'm not the pom-pom guy.
Some days I can wear a pom-pom, other days I don't. I tried to get like the floppy kind of, hipster toque, but I've got such a massive melon that it just fits right, like it does, like those Krusty the Clown pants on Homer. Hey, I've never had pants.
I did the exact same thing. I bought a hat and gloves thinking I could get that cool look going. Yeah, no, it just looks like a fitting hat now.
Yeah, cool.
That's it. Ooh,
well,
man, really got to get a new camera, new lights. Your lighting looks fantastic.
I mean, it's just
Irish.
It's flat work, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. I guess you know what? Hey, let's dive into some Jays.
Okay, so I sent you a bunch of stuff yesterday. So we've got 16 things we can talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start at the top.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, because we haven't seen you guys in a while, and I'm sure most of you will know what we're going to talk about. But in the meantime, we will go over a quick off-season recap very quickly in case you didn't know what's going on. Okay, so here's a quick recap. We traded Teoscar, and we got
everyone lost their mind.
People lost their shit. By the way, I'm going to be known as the Terminator. I'm going to take down all you troll people because all of your anti-Blue Jay stuff makes no sense to me, and I'm going to destroy you this year. So be prepared for it. I was mean last year. I'm going to be even meaner this year because it makes no sense. Because once we go over this recap, you will see that we did exactly what we needed to do. Okay. Yeah. So people lost their shit, right? Then there was a little moratorium. Blah, blah, blah. We didn't really do much, which made people even more angry because they're like, why did you trade him? And as I had to remind the trolls, there's 3 months left in the season. We didn't sign most of our guys till January in the last few off seasons. So you think it's going to happen in November? But after a CBA just got agreed to, before the general manager meetings in December. Anyway, so what will be our next one? Our next big thing was it Chris Bassett, the signing of Chris Bassett? That was the next big one that came down. Yeah. And I think that's going to be bigger than people realize because we will go into the Jose Barrios stuff that's going on in spring training so far and at the WBC for that matter. And let's see, after that, then there was really
Dalton
not
Varsho.
much. There's the Dalton Varsho. And then we traded Lourdes and Moreno, and people think we lost our minds. Now, if you look at just defense, right? Don't even look at the hitting because that was pretty much well, Varsho was
Yeah,
better than
yeah,
Gurriel. Moreno, we all know Moreno is going to be an all-star.
yeah.
We know that, okay? But when you make trades, sometimes the other team gets something they wanted and it works.
Mhm.
You don't always get crap. Like, you don't always give crap for gold. I don't know who these people are that think we're always going to be constantly getting gold caliber players for like giving up like a low A fucking second
Well,
baseman or something.
like we had to give up like just to get to like let's think of one that always pops up. In order to get R.A. Dickey, we had to give up Noah Syndergaard. And Noah
Mm-hmm.
Syndergaard was a stud for like a few years. He's injury prone now, but the
And I
Mets
think he's
seems
still a Philly now, isn't he? Did he re-sign
yeah,
with the Phillies?
I don't remember, but
Well, because
I mean
he did it right with the Angels.
The
We
Mets,
were in on him.
the Mets
Oh,
definitely like profited
you know what?
after Dickey retired. So
I'll tell you one thing: the Mets are a whole bloody like podcast unto themselves right now. What Steve Cohen did in the offseason is unprecedented, and it could either boost baseball amazingly well or destroy baseball as we know it. He has a $450 million payroll.
well, I mean,
Like, and
but there's a lot
but
of teams going over the like. Look at us.
no, but he's not over. He like
No,
leapfrogged Everest to get to
well,
this.
remember when it was like 300 million for the Dodgers, and everyone's like, whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah, but 450, like
Yeah,
that's you know
yeah,
that's 50% more than that. Now,
yeah.
here's the funny thing that's happened very recently that could cause a huge problem for Steve Cohen, and it has nothing to do with baseball. It all has to do with Silicon Valley Bank crashing. Silicon Valley Bank is the second largest bank crash in U.S. history, and it was all funded by people like Steve Cohen,
But
like these venture capitalist guys.
why did the Mets always have to have like their money men involved in whatever happens to be the biggest crash and the biggest scandal? Because
Now, I
look
don't
at
know if Cohen is involved, but he was that type of investor, right? That's where
yeah,
his money came from. So he has all the, he is the rich, he was the richest guy in baseball. He could still be the richest one. I don't know, but he probably is. But if that's where you're going to be getting your money from, it's a lot more risky. Like, it's
well,
weird. So with him throwing all that money out to people, it doesn't make him that much better than anybody else. That's the thing. You're just paying the highest price for everybody,
but
which means you're
I'm thinking back, like just mention that it's the whole. I wonder if they're going to have to do another little Bobby Bonilla day
oh
again,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
have
he's still
everyone
getting paid.
go on a 50-year payment cycle, so everyone essentially gets a pension. Uh,
Well, if you really want to get into stuff like that, I'll tell you, we don't think we're going to be, there's not going
no,
to be enough in the economy long enough.
no.
But anyway, so that being said, so Varsho comes in, Kiermaier comes in. Now, Kiermaier was just before Varsho. Now you've got Springer moving to right. You've got Kiermaier in center. You got Varsho in left. Okay.
And then you also have the option of rotating in,
Right.
Whit Merrifield, depending on whoever happens to be
Exactly.
pitching.
Kevin Beasley's been taking reps. Otto Lopez has been
Yeah,
taking reps.
yeah,
Nate Lukes, he's another one that they've been looking at who's an actual
yeah.
outfielder. Zach Britton's been kicking the crap out of the ball in spring training, so he's another one. We are slowly developing outfield depth, which we never had before. We also have this 30. I think he's 32. He's like a career minor leaguer who got a cup of coffee in the majors last year, and we signed him. Like Winton Bernard, I believe his name is. And he was a possibility because he's like one of those like career like Crash Davis kind of guys.
Yeah.
Right. And we brought him in, and he's been all right. But we have depth now. The only place that we don't really have depth now is third. We kind of do.
I mean, we've got Chapman, who's
Right. But if
freaking
Chapman goes
awesome.
down, it's Espinal,
Then
I
it's
guess.
Espinal, yeah. But
Right?
but you also have to remember, and it's not an outside it's not an outside chance, but originally Vladdy was a third baseman.
That's never going to happen.
It's never gonna
Never.
happen.
Not if you win a Gold Glove, you won't. He's staying at first. But Addison Barger, he's the one. Now he's been killing it in spring training. He was our sixth best prospect going into spring training, according to somebody. And he's been proven that he can do it. So he might be a backup, but they're going to send him down to AAA, I think, because he hasn't. He had a whole year in AAA last year and did really well.
Well,
I think they won again.
they had a big cut day yesterday as well.
Well, and they did. So here's the thing. So now you've got Barger, Espinal, Biggio, Merrifield, Lopez. Those are your all kind of the same kind of dudes. They all kind of play the outfield.
They can all be secondish outfield. Maybe a third.
Like I honestly think Whit Merrifield at this point is going to be the fourth outfielder because he has to be, because we don't have.
I see. He's probably going to be a second baseman more than he's going to be an outfielder.
I know, but I'm saying he is our fourth outfielder. Like he's got hundreds of games in the outfield. He was playing there when we traded for him, right? So we have a fourth outfielder. He's the fourth outfielder.
He's the fourth outfielder, yeah.
Unless Nathan Lukes gets on the roster. Don't know if he will. He might.
Yeah.
But I don't think they want to do that.
I mean, he's a lefty bat, which would be nice, And that was our problem before, but now we've actually got a couple.
We've got 3, 4. Mm-hmm. Let's see. We got Brandon Belt, who's our backup first baseman.
Dalton Varsho.
Pretty much permanent DH. Dalton Varsho. Kiermaier. Mm-hmm. And Biggio's still here, so he's a lefty.
Yeah.
Right? So we could have some days where there's 4 lefties in there, and that's great. I mean, we now have the balance we needed. So they've covered all that. Defensively, we are light years ahead of, like, having Springer in right and Varsho in left is a lot different than having Gurriel in left and Hernandez
and Teoscar. Teoscar could hit, he couldn't catch. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were minus 17 user zone rating or something like that. And Varsho was literally the number 1 defensive outfielder in baseball last year. And I mean, by the metrics they use, he was number 1.
He's a little older, but Kiermaier was a constant Gold Glove winner for
now
years.
He also says his hip is fixed. Like he had a hip problem, right? And he said if he feels better than he has in years, which they all like.
Well, I somehow feel that the turf that we're playing on must be better than the one in Tampa, because everything about the Tropicana field sucks, and I guarantee the grass sucks.
A lot of teams are going to turf. Like Arizona's now gone turf, and I think you're going to see more of them because it's a cheaper upkeep for one thing, and now it's gotten to the point where it's really not. It isn't much like different. Olympic Stadium, fucking exhibition stadium, concrete kind of.
It's
like painted the place green. There you go, that's turf.
I got tackled on the Skydome turf at a Vania Cup game. No, I was not playing. I just stormed onto the field, but that was pure, just like carpet, maybe like a little bit of rubber.
Yeah,
and concrete.
Like when I was at the Score, I was doing camera work for we were doing CFL playoffs, and Saskatchewan was coming in, and their plane was late because of weather or whatever. So they'd be like, "Hey, go down on the field. Here's a couple footballs." We're like, "Right on, man, yeah." And got down there, I was like, "Geez, wow, this is what they run on." And then they also had the seams as well that were still there because
and the seams can hurt. The seams can hurt even worse. So that's
broken ankles. Those seams.
Yeah.
So the turf they have now, I've seen it. I mean, we know it's all basically rubber, more or less, right? Because they got all those little tire pieces in there, and it's not as bad now. Then you got the other thing with the stadium that's going to be very different than we're all used to, is for the first time in the history of the Toronto Blue Jays, which is now 47 years.
Yep.
They will have a non-symmetrical outfield wall, which has never happened. They had Exhibition Stadium, which was this weird folding gate thing or whatever.
And then we kept pretty much the same dimensions going to the dome.
We kept the exact same dimensions with a better wall. Yeah. And then we added things to the wall. Oh, look, pictures on the wall. And I used to like it when they did the standings.
Yeah.
Remember in the outfield they used to have
that used to be like where the logos were. That was who was in first, second, third.
Yeah. I like that. I thought it was kind of a neat thing to do, but they don't do that anymore.
Well, now there's a central division, right? So you couldn't really do like one's on left and one's on right. I did used to like, though, at Exhibition Stadium, that old grandstand that was mainly designed for Largo.
Yeah, the one just went off into nowhere after a while.
Whenever someone would jack one pretty far, you would just see like the horse races and everyone running down the lines just to pick up the ball. So that was actually.
I love those $2 seats. So we've now got, what is it, 5 new areas in the outfield. So they've redone the
Yeah.
outfield walls. So if I remember the dimensions correctly, which I hope I do, so
Yeah, this I'm
your
not sure of yet.
pole to pole is the same. Okay. Now left center field used to be 375. They brought it
Yeah.
into like 373 or something. Or no, it's three. Is it? Yeah, something like that. It's like just a couple feet, but
Yeah.
the fence is going to be 14 feet 2 inches tall as opposed to 10 feet. So it goes up 4.2.
Yeah.
4 feet 2 inches.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
Then you get into
it's fairly monsterish. Yeah.
yes.
But not
So then you
nothing.
get into the center field, and then it goes down to 8 feet, right in the center field area, like dead center field. It comes down 8 feet, right? Then you get into right center field, and it's going to be from 375 to 359.
Whoa.
The short porch in Yankee Stadium is 360. We're a foot shorter. We're a foot on that one, right?
And
that's also going to be a tall
it's 3,
wall.
and it's 315 at Fenway, but then you've got like 40 feet.
But not, I'm talking in left and right center, not in.
Oh, I know, but I'm just thinking the shorter porch.
Yeah.
There's a short porch in
There's a short porch everywhere now.
everywhere now. Yeah.
The Astros have one now.
Yeah.
Like everybody's got one. So that also have higher walls as well. So there's going to be angles now as well. There's not just going to be a flat wall. There's going to be a bit of angles because of the way the bullpens have been raised, right? So they're now at the same level as the seating. So because now you can be like, you suck, Kimball, or whatever, right? They want interaction. Yeah. And in the corners, they're going to have standing room only with high top tables. And these seats, it's going to be a $20 general admission ticket you can get, and you can go to and from all those different places. They've all got different names and whatnot. Yeah. The flight deck now is like a microbrewery inside of it. It isn't changed its name. It's still the flight deck. There's a Corona rooftop thing on the 500 level. And the 500 level seats were ripped out and replaced. There are now 3,000 less of them because the seats are slightly larger.
They moved the scoreboard out, like, or that part. That
they made the scoreboard bigger. And the big thing is now that it's going to be a baseball only stadium, and this will happen next year with the 100 level as well, is the seats now are going to face home plate as opposed to
they were originally facing second, because if you moved them around, second would hollow out over center field. If it happened, like center, if it was a football stadium, yeah.
Well, and also in concerts as well with the other big thing, right? So now all the seats can be kind of set into place, and our foul territory, which I found out was the second large. We had the second largest foul territory in baseball, but behind Oakland.
Oakland is obviously number one, but Tampa's looks massive because Tampa still had the guys on the bullpen on the side.
Apparently not. That's what they say. I mean, it might not be by much, but we are the second. So anyway, they're going to bring the seats into and have the size basically of the foul territory next year, and they're going to regrade the seats. So they're not going to be graded for football, which they were. They're going to be more graded for baseball. And the seats, again, ripping them out. I think you're going to lose about 3,000 more seats.
So it can actually be a tiny bit flatter as opposed to steep.
Yeah. So. Well, I actually think they want to make it steeper.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So then you have less. They're going to have less seats overall. What does that mean, folks? Higher ticket prices.
Ding, ding, ding,
but
ding.
Now you have that $20 general admission thing that you can use to check out the outfield stuff, right?
Yeah.
You just have to buy like the $35 Montreal smoked meat sandwich, or whatever the fuck they're going to sell. There is a Montreal smoked meat sandwich involved. I did read that. So you know that's what it is. Here's $20 to go inside and spend another $20 for a beer. You know? That's just the way the dome is. So all of that put together, I think, is fantastic. I love it. I love the changes. People, again, are flipping the fuck out. I don't know why they're flipping out. They said that the metrics and the numbers they've gone over, because it's always played very neutral, not pitcher friendly, hitter friendly, but a very neutral ballpark. They say even with these changes, it will still be the same thing. It will still be in more or less a neutral park. But now we've got the outfielders to cover it. Yeah. Kiermaier was talking about a way that he they call balls in the outfield that other teams don't do. Which is he was talking this in an article there. I think Caitlin. I was reading Caitlin McGrath in the Athletic was talking about it, but I think it was picked up by a bunch of people. And he was basically saying that they take glances to see like where the ball is or whatever, and then when they see where it is, they'll glance at the person that's coming at them. Like so, if it's Kiermaier going to center, and if he thinks he's not going to get it because he's like the captain of the outfield, right?
Yeah,
he'll go like you. And he'll stop dead, or he'll go to back up, depending on where the ball's going, right? As opposed to somebody going, I got it. He's letting the other fielder know, like, I know it's yours.
Yeah,
like
I'm not going to fight you for it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, this is like, and that's, I mean, 90% of injuries for outfielders come in collisions.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It's and if you play the game long enough, I mean, I'm saying this from a non-professional point of view, because obviously I've stepped on a Major League Baseball diamond, whatever. But I mean, you figure they would have solved that problem eons ago, right?
Yeah.
Because like, like the amount of times that people have actually, injured backs, injured, and career-ending injuries, just like, based on like a little busted knee or something like
what
that.
about
That's happened from a collision.
Bo and Springer in the playoffs last year.
In the playoffs last year, yeah. And then how many guys did we lose in that game? We lost 4 guys in that game.
Oh, that was a brutal game. That's probably the worst game the Jays have ever played in their life.
And I mean,
but anyway,
it looked great for the first couple innings. It looked great for the first couple innings.
Yeah, we won't be referring to that game much anymore because it was a shit show. It was horrible.
By the way, we are independent this year, so there will be swearing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Be swearing.
Don't worry about that. I mean, if we decide to put it on YouTube, I might have to do something about it. But other than that,
all I have to do is just put an R rating. Yeah.
So people were complaining that we were losing power because of losing Lourdes and Teoscar. Okay.
No.
Now, first of all, Lourdes had 1 power season, which was 2021. Last year, he hit 5. He was hurt a lot. That was part of it too. I think he's capable of 20 home runs, no problem. Teoscar, 30 bombs, no problem. Yeah. But I think what people are not realizing is that with Springer moving to right field, it probably keeps him in the lineup more.
Yeah,
because he lost a lot of games last year because he was his elbow was all messed up. And that's now been fixed.
We're gonna get 40 or 50 from Vladdy. Okay, so let's throw that in there. We're gonna get 40, 50 from Vladdy.
Well, Springer alone and Varsho together, like the two of them will do more home runs than Gurriel and I guarantee that's what happened this year. If anyone wants to lay a bet on it, I'll bet you $1 million. Varsho and Springer have more home runs together than Gurriel and Teoscar would have.
Teoscar. And with the fact that they're gonna like strictly platoon Jansen and Kirk now, you forget how but I was gonna say you forget how many, like, Jansen actually had better numbers than Kirk, and everyone was like, oh, don't trade Kirk. Jansen had better numbers than Kirk. And Jansen, if he stays healthy, Jansen will have the power as well.
Okay. I really wanted Kirk to be the one traded. Really did.
And for us to keep Moreno, for sure. Yeah.
Right. Now
we missed the window. We could have got rid of him before the All-Star break when everything was going up.
So here's the thing. I was fine with keeping Kirk because he can hit, but he did fall off the face of the earth in the second half. Okay. Why did Kirk fall off the face of the earth? What have I been saying for a year now or longer?
Shape.
Okay.
You were saying that he wasn't smiling. That's what you're saying. He wasn't happy.
That's who. He had no smarties going on. No. Okay. Now, I'm not saying he's not he looks exactly the same as he did last year. I saw him in the game yesterday. He looks exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't look like he's worked out at all.
Mm-hmm.
And that bothers me.
Yeah.
Like, does that mean that he's going to fall off? Now, here's the reason why, is because as much as I love Jano and want Jano to be number one outright, right? He's also injury prone.
Yeah.
So if Jano gets hurt and Kirk falls off the face of the earth again because he doesn't have the stamina to do a 162 game season, that means we have to go to Rob Brantley, who's a 14-year veteran who's going to probably be playing for Buffalo.
But do you know what else we have? Like a little ace in the hole as well. Varsho can catch
Golden
too.
Varsho.
Yeah,
But that becomes a problem then.
because
So now
then
you're having
yeah,
Varsho catching half the games, right?
yeah. That's
That
this
means
is a
you now got
theoretical. Yeah.
Merrifield. This is all theoretical, but this is all like
Mhm.
this is what I mean. It's a cascading effect. So now you got Varsho pulled out of left, who's the best defensive outfielder in baseball, and we put out Merrifield in there, who's good. He's all right, but I mean that now downgrades our defense, which does not help our pitching. And Varsho, I'm sure, is not getting as many reps with the pitchers as the other two are, so he doesn't know the pitchers like the other two guys do.
Yeah.
Right? This is all a cascading effect. It's all maybes and woulda, coulda, shoulda kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's a definite possibility because Kirk did not work out. He didn't. He looked like he looks at like he's a strong guy. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not saying guys with that shape can't play. Kirby Puckett proved it.
Yeah.
Pablo Sandoval, until he got really huge,
Yeah.
proved it. You can play that way, but you run the risk of running out of gas, especially at catcher. Like
But
it's the most physically demanding position in the whole goddamn
and it's
sport.
and I mean it's based essentially on weight put on your knees.
Yeah.
And if you lighten that weight,
Which
you
is
can last
why
a lot longer.
Kirk always does that leg out thing,
Yeah.
which Buck Martinez always calls him out on every time. It's like it's stupid. And now that the rules have changed, right? So now we're getting the base running rules. Only 2 pickoffs allowed per batter, right? So and the bases now are, like you said, pizza boxes.
Yeah.
And there's a few less inches in between.
I like that though. I love
No,
base
it's a great idea, and
base
it'll
thing's awesome.
eliminate injuries and spiking people and stuff a lot more than it did before. But you're going to see twice as many stolen bases being tried now,
Yeah.
than you did before. And if Kirk can't catch with his knees like normal catcher, and he has to go down on one leg, he ain't throwing anybody out.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. And I don't think people see it as the problem that I do. I understand why people love Kirk, the way they love John fucking McDonald. You know, why they love Ryan Goins, why they love Kevin Pillar.
It's the lunchbox guys. It's the
exactly. And I get it. But Kirk is way better than them in terms of hitting because he has elite bat to ball skills. We all know that.
Yeah.
But how much better would he be if he turned 20 pounds of the gut into 20 pounds of muscle? He still wouldn't be a 6-pack guy. He would just be a strong dude. Can you imagine 20 more pounds of muscle on him? He'd kill
this is almost a Jeff Gone.
This is almost a Jeff Gone.
Yeah,
because
Jeff Gone.
Like, I'm not crapping on him. I'm not. Maybe this is the way he's going to be. But last year put a big seed of doubt in my head about his ability to play 162 games. And if Jansen gets injured, any of that stuff, like we're told, we're not in a good position.
What we're banking on is if he falls off, in the last couple of months again, that it's going to happen every year that all of a sudden Bo Bichette is going to have the 2 most awesome months of his career yet again at the end of the season.
Yeah.
to right the ship, to make it to even out the numbers.
No, you'll end up with Varsho having to catch, and he's a really good defensive catcher, mind you.
Yeah.
But then you'll be trading for another outfielder.
Yeah.
So you'll end up losing probably.
This is a theoretical at this point. At this point, and for now, I mean, like the pieces that the Jays have got,
they are.
I think the pieces that we got were great, and
we did exactly what we needed to do.
And
we did.
There isn't really someone coming up to fill a hole. We actually went and got the holes filled from other teams. So
but what happens to that hole if it comes back again? That's the only thing we have. The only depth that we seem to have, we have infield depth. We have a lot of utility type guys, which are good. So I'm not worried about that. It's the outfield.
We actually are pretty stacked in utility guys.
And that's the thing. I think one of them might even get moved eventually. Yeah. Like if Otto Lopez does well in WBC for Canada, and if he's still hitting well when he comes back to spring training, he could take the job from Espinal because he can play third too, and he can play the outfield better. And Espinal could fetch you, I don't know, bigger bullpen arm.
Yeah.
Or maybe another starter for depth because we're not sure about Barrios or Kikuchi.
That's the. I mean, Kikuchi
But we do
is
have
gonna
Zach
fill.
Tom. We do
It's
have
gonna
Zach
fill the five.
Thompson.
But I mean, you've got Manoa as your number one, Gosman as
Yep.
your number two, and Barrio should have been the third, but Bass is definitely move
Yeah.
up now.
Barrios is probably going to be the four, just the way because he gave up 6 runs in playing for Puerto Rico yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, he's I know he's working on adjustments, and that's fine. And that's why Kikuchi's doing well. And that's what I always said last year with Kikuchi was that the biggest problem with Kikuchi last year was he came in late spring training and they wanted to redo him. But
Well,
because of the late spring training, they couldn't. And then he had the whole season to try, and they kept mussing with him, and it just wasn't good. Now that
I
he's
mean,
had time to do it, you're seeing the results. Four
we
four
know
games, hasn't
pitchers
given up
take
a run yet.
longer. We know pitchers take longer to warm up. Like it's like from a full stop season to get go. We know that, right? And
Yeah,
he didn't have that time. And that's literally why the pitchers and catchers show up at spring training first. That's,
exactly.
that's
So
why,
now,
right? So seeing what the pitching staff is sort of going through at this point in time, I'm not so crazily worried because like everyone's probably
no,
trying something different. I need to see the guys hitting. Like that's more
we've been
like,
kicking the crap out of the ball.
and
We've been
that's what I
hitting
mean.
the crap out of the ball. So that's
Yeah.
great.
So
And it's not
that's
been
what I want to see out of spring training coming out. Like I don't care if a pitcher goes in for 3 innings and is like trying to locate different stuff as long as we're hitting to that point. So
and it hasn't even been just the major league guys. Like even the minor league guys who are going to be our backups are doing well. Like I think we're going to have a really good AAA team
yeah,
based on what I've seen. Casey Lawrence will be back in that rotation, but that's kind of funny. But anyway, I don't under the only thing with the pitching right now that I didn't understand is they got rid of Matt Gage. They let him go.
yeah.
And he signed with I think he signed with Atlanta, maybe. I can't remember who he signed with. But he signed with somebody else pretty quick because he was really good for us. And we don't have any other lefties. We only have Tim Meza right now. So getting rid of Matt Gage, who seemed like the best other lefty we had, seemed like a very strange
Houston. He signed with
transaction. Houston.
Houston.
So isn't that, to me, that's odd. Like I know, do they trust all their pitchers against lefties? No problem to have
I don't
just
know.
Tim Meza as the. Now the only thing
I was sorry.
well,
Go ahead.
the three batter thing might be part of it. Maybe you don't need those lefty specialists anymore because you have to do three batters anyway, right?
Yeah. So like you're not going to bring a guy in solely to face whatever.
Because you can't.
I was a little. I mean, I wanted to see a little more of Tiedemann in in the big
Yeah,
like
he has soreness
in
in
the
his shoulder. Shut
bigs
him.
in the bigs, right? Like
Yeah,
in
well,
spring training, but.
he had soreness in his shoulder. They shut him down for a few days too. That's the other reason why I haven't seen him much.
Well,
But he did all right.
he was one that got sent back as well, right? So I figure he's just going to get shut down and he's going to be the first call up, probably.
I don't think he'll be the first.
Huh?
No, not yet. I don't think they want to do that yet, unless he's like blowing people away.
That's what I want. I wanted to see a little more of him facing like against the big league guys.
Like that game Manoa played against the Yankees that solidified himself. He struck out like 6 Yankees out of like 7 batters and that kind of yeah. He's not there yet, but I mean he's 3 years younger than Manoa was when Manoa did that.
Yeah,
he's only 20, so I wouldn't rush him. I would just let him develop as he develops, and if he pushes the door open, great. But there'll be other guys. Zach Thompson, I think, is the guy you'll see come up, or Mitch White will be a backup first, and then it'll be Zach Thompson. Nate Pearson's going to probably could be a bulk inning guy because he's still pitching and he hasn't hurt himself yet, so he'll be down there. Zach Pop's going to be in the minors, which kind of sucks.
that's another one I like. Yeah,
I think you'll see Trevor Richards part ways with the team at some point this season. He's not pitching very well in the spring. His velocity and stuff is there. He's just not pitching well. And you got these other guys knocking at the door, and Trevor makes more money than they do. And I mean, we busted the tax for the first time ever, which is something. So to all you people who think that the Jays don't spend money, booyah!
Well, here's my take on what's going to happen this season. Remember, was it 2013 when every bookmaker thought the Jays were going to run away with it? Because we picked up Dickey, we picked up Josh Johnson, Reyes. We made so many offseason moves. They're like, oh, the Jays are gonna kill it, and it took us a couple of years. But don't get me wrong, we were an out away from making the World Series. Yep. But it took us a couple of years, and everyone thought we were going to kill it last year. I think the same thing is going to happen. last year happened. We ran into so much problems, but now we're gonna, now it's gonna be the resurgence of like the 2015-16 part.
You know, that
Like,
reminds me of what other team that reminds me of more recently? San Diego.
yeah, yeah.
Like two years ago,
San Diego was supposed to dominate, and look at
two
the money
years
they
ago they
spent.
were the
Yeah,
pick, right? Because they spent
yeah,
all that money and they
yeah.
fucking shat the bed.
Well,
And then last year they were all right.
there was a few reasons. There was injuries and there was performance enhancing
No,
stuff,
that
right?
wasn't
So
2 years ago. I'm talking 2 years ago, not
no,
last year.
no, no, but that's the thing is like they've been the one that's supposed to be taken over and they
Yeah.
haven't.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. It's just like the Jays were. So the year that everybody picked the Padres, they
Yeah,
crapped the bed, just like the Jays didn't crap the bed. And the Padres didn't really crap the bed, but they didn't do as well as they thought. The
no,
next year, which was last year,
yeah,
they did way better than some people thought they were going to do
yeah,
because of what happened the year before. And
yeah,
now they've signed Machado to that extension.
yeah.
They've got Xander Bogaerts in there now. So like Padres, and the only thing that's going to knock the Padres down these days is their pitching.
Yeah.
It has to step up. But I think they're better than the Dodgers right now because
Yeah.
the
Well,
Dodgers have injuries to the pitching staff. Gavin Lux just got knocked out.
I
Like they
mean,
don't have a lot of depth.
they're not gonna get a Kershaw back that is a
Nope,
Kershaw 5 years ago, right? Like they're still gonna keep him
exactly.
because he's still Clayton Kershaw, but it's
He'll do
not Clayton
25.
Kershaw. Yeah,
He'll probably do 25 starts. That's what I give him. Maybe
yeah,
less, maybe 20.
yeah,
But the thing, they don't have depth either because isn't Bueller's still hurt,
yep,
right? So there's their ace gone. So I mean they do have great depth, but eventually your depth has to catch up to you, like it did with Tampa last year,
yeah,
and it probably will Tampa this year. There's only so much pitching you can just miraculously pull out of your butt
yeah.
that throws 100 miles an hour and get people out. Eventually, you run out of them. So we might be in a good position. The other thing that's going to put us in a really good position is, have you seen what's happened to the Yankees?
Old and injured.
Oh, yes. So many injuries.
Yeah,
Carlos Rodon, forearm strain, indefinite. Frankie Montas, shoulder surgery, out for the season.
yeah.
Nestor Cortez has not thrown a pitch in a game yet in spring training
And
so far this year.
let's just hope Boston's it up like they did last year. Um,
Well, if you have James Paxton in your rotation, you're screwed. I love James Paxton because he's Canadian, but
yeah,
man, that guy is the most injury prone guy I've ever seen in my life. And I feel so bad for the poor guy because
yeah,
he's hurt all the
all the
time.
time.
But he is being relied on as a producer for that rotation.
Yeah,
So
and like okay, well then who do we think our biggest threat in the American League East is? And to be honest, it sounds odd, but I think it's actually Baltimore is going to take a step up. I
I
think
don't
Baltimore's
think they
going to take a
will.
step up.
I think
I
they
think
have
they will.
they took a step up last to do the over 500 thing, but I don't think they will because they're going to have to introduce more kids into things this year, and that's going to be a little
But
difficult. I don't think they can. I think
I
they'll be
don't
a 500 club, but I don't
yeah
think they're going to push
I
us.
don't think Tampa will produce as well as they did last year because Tampa was playing on like everybody got injured. They brought up every single solitary person they probably could
Yeah.
just to fill the holes. And I mean, if they can recreate that again for another season, then holy crap,
Well,
that's
it all
insane.
depends on the rotation, right? I mean,
Yeah,
they did sign Zach Eflin, which this is the funniest stat I read about all off season. Zach Eflin is the largest free agent contract they've ever given
ever
out
signed. Yeah,
for 3 years at $40 million.
and,
Like,
and but
there you go. There's
Tampa's
baseball
always
in a
been a
ball
cut
league
rate
right
club.
there.
They've always been a cut rate club.
Because the Tampa Bay is just full of a bunch of people who don't actually live there.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Like if people lived in Tampa 12 months out of the year, it'd be easier to do stuff for, but they don't.
Here's your stupid little fact. Tampa Bay isn't an actual place. Tampa Bay is a body of water. Tampa in
Tampa,
St.
right?
Petersburg. Yeah,
I
and it's
should
the
know that
Bay
because I have
Area. Yeah,
family all over that area.
yeah.
It's actually
It just
surprisingly
sounds better
enough.
saying Tampa Bay though.
Yeah, the Tampa Rays. Okay.
Tampa Bay Rays.
Ooh, that's baseball. So I'm
Ooh,
looking
ooh.
up.
Are we gonna put in a giant manta ray aquarium in the outfield for the Dome and possibly get like
They're
animal
going
rights
to do
activists
something.
against us? Yeah,
They're going to do something. That's good. Well, the other thing was apparently when they first built the dome at the very back of it, they were supposed to build something else and they never did. That's why it was so dark and dank, like back center field area. That's all going to open up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I always thought that was just essentially like what's the best way to say, like not the production side, but I mean like engineering and stuff like that for the hotel, like because they had
Yeah.
to put that on some wall. So great.
I would get rid of the goddamn hotel. Just get rid of it.
Yeah,
Gone.
I think it's still kind of fun.
No, I would blow it out and build like a Blue Jays walkthrough outdoor museum type thing. That's what I would
Well,
do.
the one that's in the big foyer
Like
in Yankee Stadium, like the new
that
Yankee
that kind of
Stadium.
an idea. Not that
Yeah,
obviously not that big because they've been around way longer, but yeah, that kind of an
yeah,
idea. That's what they need out there, and that's more interaction. And if you blow up that back walls, if you can support it, then you can see more of the city, and it won't be so much of a concrete jungle in that bloody place. The biggest problem with the dome is the outside of the dome. It's not the inside, it's the outside.
outside.
It's a great, big, huge concrete fucking toilet. That's what it is. With a great big penis right beside it.
I like the dome.
And it's
I like the dome.
okay, so here's Tampa Bay. Unfortunately, it just lists this by roster and not by who's on the starting staff. So I'm going to guess their starters. Shane Baz, Zach Eflin, Tyler Glasnow, Shane
Oh yeah,
McClanahan, and Jeffrey Springs will probably be their 5. Their infielders, Wander Franco, Brandon Lau, Isaac Paredes, Taylor Walls, Vidal Brujan, some guy named Jonathan Aranda. He's not very good because his number's number 62. So
just what's left. I'll take that.
Randy Rosarena is number 56, but that's got to be for a reason. So you got Rosarena, Josh Lowe, Manuel Margot, Luke Raley, and Jose Siri as the outfielders. Your designated hitter is Harold Ramirez. So there's your Tampa Bay. And the catchers are Christian Bethencourt, Francisco Mejia, and Rene Pinto. So Christian Bethencourt and Francisco Mejia, pretty much.
Yeah,
we'll kick their shit out.
It's not gonna be. But that's the thing is it's not gonna be New York or Boston.
Nope.
It's not. It's not gonna be New York or Boston.
There we go. A little more light. Okay, so that's taken care of. Let's see, what else have we not covered yet in my list of things?
Well, we've glazed over essentially what the starting rotation is going to be. We've discussed catchers. We've discussed.
Well, see, the rotation, I'm not worried. The only thing about the rotation that's going to be an issue is the pitch clock, which I was going to talk about, the rules thing, because Manoah's been one of the slowest workers. Now he's got to be just like everybody else. And they had a problem with Gosman because he never actually came to a full stop because he was a tap, tap his toe, and then he would throw. Yeah. And that remember he got called for that balk last year, and people were like, "What the fuck do you get called for a balk for?" That's why. And
well, I want to see. I want to see guys. Yeah, I want to. What's his name? He's. I love the way he pitches. He now actually pitches for San Diego. He used to pitch for Cleveland. He's called Disco. Yeah, it was just a
Mike Clevenger.
Clevenger. Yeah, I want to see what's going to happen with him because he has the most movement before a pitch out of anyone I've ever seen.
Well, Gosman's actually done all right. He hasn't had much of a problem with it. He's had to redo his motion just to get that in there, right? Yeah. So the pitch clock's been interesting to watch. Now, I hope they don't keep the clock on the screen all the time because that's kind of annoying. Because they've been doing that right now to kind of give you an idea.
It's the first year. They'll do it for like about a month, and then someone will go.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
If there's a fucking idiot online saying like, I just watched a WCBC game. I can't believe how much better it was without that stupid clock. Everything just kind of flowed the way it should. And I'm like, so you like watching guys scratch their balls? You like guys flipping their fucking batting gloves 75 times? Or watching a pitcher just pounce around on the back of the mound while he figures out what the hell he wants to do? Like, that's what baseball was. It was turning into that. That's like, I don't need to see this. The only guy, like Dave Steve could pitch a game in 2 hours and grab his balls like 75 times in a game. Yeah. Like, it doesn't have to take forever to do these things.
No, but we talked about this the other day. Two of the best pitchers pretty much ever to lace up for the Jays used to pitch super, super fast. Roy Halladay.
Yep.
Mark Burley. Like they would Burley. I still love the fact that I mention this all the time that Burley set a record for the speed of the fastest pitch Jays game solely because he wanted to go see a Tim McGraw concert.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's awesome.
That's the guy who has control. He could control
Yeah,
everything. He
it's
was good
so
at
much control
controlling.
of the game, and it wasn't because it was a pace, but it was a fast pace.
Yeah,
So yeah.
exactly. So we're going back to the pace that it was.
Mhm.
Like, I don't understand these people who are like, oh, stupid. Like, actually, the pitch clock is 3 seconds longer than the actual rule in the rule book of how long it's supposed to take to throw a pitch.
I do love that you mentioned that to me the other day. It's 15 seconds and it's actually supposed to be 12. Yeah.
12. Exactly. So it's what it's 18 seconds between whatever. That's how it's. Now the batter's supposed to have their head up with 8 seconds left to be ready for the pitch to come. That's fine. It's not going to be a problem. First of all, half the league that's come up in the last few years have been playing under that in the minor leagues for the last few years anyway.
Anyway, yeah.
So a lot of these guys are used to that.
You still get your walk-up music. You still get to kick the dirt as much as you want.
The other one was like, well, if I'm listening to the radio or the TV guy, how's he going to tell any stories and show me all this information if it's just go, 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 go? And I'm like, well, you can't get information from any sport because it's too fast. So what about basketball? Like, what about car racing? Like, what about football? Like soccer, all football, whatever it is, anything that has a decent timing. Like, I'm sorry, Vince Scully did it for 65 years, and for probably about, I'd say 45 to 50 of those years, the games were under like 3 hours. They were more like 2.5 to 2. And everyone calls Vince Scully the greatest storyteller that's ever been for a broadcaster. And he probably has. But he did that for the Dodgers forever because you can. It doesn't mean anything. It's just getting it back to the way it was. You people who have a problem with that are fucking morons. I don't want to be at a baseball game for 3.5 hours. It's better for the fans because they get to get home early and actually go to bed at a decent time. Maybe kids can start going to more night games now because the games are going to be over quicker. Like, there was a time where people stopped bringing their kids to the games because the games are finishing at 10:30, 11 o'clock, and you're getting home at 12:30 in the suburbs. Like, you eliminate 25 to 30 minutes. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
So some of the games in spring training have been 2 hours long. I mean, games can be long, but the games will be long because you're just throwing a lot of pitches.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's because baseball is theoretically timeless. It's not like you've got 50 minutes.
So all they're doing is enforcing rules that were there more loosely than the rules that were actually there. Mm-hmm. So that, coupled with the pitch caller, whatever they call that thing, that they can, catcher, right? The pitcher can hear it. The only problem time it's an issue is when the thing isn't inserted properly. It happened in a Jays game a couple days ago. It's not working, and they couldn't get the thing to work. So then you go to the signs. All these are made to make the game go by quicker. Can you imagine going to the Dome being in and out in 2 hours? You know what that would eliminate? People being late for games. Mm-hmm. Like, everybody would be there right when it starts because if they get there late, they're going to miss half the game.
Yeah.
I like the fact it's going to be 2 hours. I think the people who work there probably love that too.
But that's if everything goes according to plan. Like, what happens if you chase 6 pitchers? And that's the thing, right? So, like, if the basic structure of the game. So if people are upset with what, if the game isn't going to be long, it still will be, because there's going to be those games where that stuff happens. Like, it's inevitable.
A 3-hour game will be a rarity as opposed to an everyday thing. Yeah.
You're gonna get those games where they're like, because every year, like roughly around July-ish, there's those complete blowouts where like one team is just chasing every pitcher, and then you're down to essentially Whit Merrifield pitching. Right?
No, they're actually going to be making rules about that too, about position players.
Yeah.
They're going to be making rules about position players not being able to pitch. They're going to make that an actual rule, because they said it used to happen like 3 or 4 times a year. It happened 184 times last year.
But I just want to know
pitching,
what the tail end of that. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
But the pitching was what was good last year. people couldn't hit. We had the worst hitting in baseball since the 60s.
I just want to find out what the tail end of that rule is going to be. If they're going to erase position player pitching, then that means that whoever happens to be the last pitcher out there is just going to get feasted on
Well, but the thing
for
is, you got to
about
remember, bullpens
3 innings. Yeah.
bullpens are bigger now than they've ever been. They used to be 5
Well,
guys. Now they're
no, but
8.
that's the thing. Is like there's the bullpen is like there's more pitchers in the bullpen than there are position players to come on if someone's injured.
Exactly. So I mean, you just either that or you just could just maybe they just that's it. They have a mercy at some sort. I don't know, but I don't. Position players pitching. Haha, that's so cute. But when it happens 180 times in a season, that's not cute anymore. That's a problem. That means you're mismanaging your pitching staff.
Yeah.
Like that, and that goes to, are we coddling our pitchers too much?
And well, I think that's a thing as well, because there's so many people with a pitch count. I don't mind if they got a pitch count because they're coming off an injury or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
or they're just getting into the bigs, give them a pitch count or something like that. But if you're putting, Justin Verlander pitch
Yep.
count, like
No, let them go until they can't go. That's the way it should be. But I mean, the only thing these days is guys throw a lot harder than they used to. So it's harder to do a complete game these days because of the wear and tear on the body.
on the arm.
Like
Yeah.
like Bob Gibson didn't throw 100. Bob
No.
Gibson threw 90.
Well, look at but also you have to look at the length of careers of some guys. Like Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan was a placement pitcher. The guy played until he was 40. Like look at Tim Lincecum. Tim Lincecum used to throw over 100. How long was his career?
Exactly.
And for
And
how
that's
many
the
years
thing
was he?
people got to realize. You can't throw 100 forever. You got to transition back. And all hard
Yeah.
throwers who have become Hall of Famers become pitchers. There's always you throw the ball as hard as you can until about 27, 28, and then you realize actually how to do it. And now you're not blowing away guys. You're placing balls better so they don't hit stuff.
You bean someone once just to sort of say, hey, you know what? I could get wild. You throw one in the dirt, and then all of a sudden you go 3 across the plate.
Exactly. So if you just got to manage these guys, I think you're going to see the evolution of the bullpen is going to be a couple more like long inning guys. Because it used to be basically they had the bullpen was like the closer, the setup guy, and then there was like 3 guys who could probably pitch 2 or 3 innings each.
Mm-hmm.
And now I think you're going to see them come back to that a little bit more as opposed to the 1 inning, 100-mile-an-hour guys. So just because you want to eliminate Whit Merrifield throwing a baseball.
Well, think about this. Like for eons, I don't know eons. I'd say like a good solid 5 years. Dwayne Ward, Tom Hanks, set up closer, set up closer, set up closer. Your starter goes 7, maybe 8, bang bang, and that doesn't happen anymore. Now you got someone that can maybe do 5, and then you're going to dip into the bullpen.
They want to bring in the hard throwers, and it's what the Jays did. We brought in like Adrian Hernandez and Junior Hernandez, are 2 like 103-mile-an-hour guys, to go in the Yosver Zulueta's up in that range as well, 100 miles an hour. It's the one thing that the Jays never had. Like our bullpen was a good veteran bullpen last year, but our bullpen was an outlier compared to other bullpens. We did not have hard throwing people. We had guys who could pitch. Now we're going to bring up guys that can throw hard and pitch, and you're going to see some of that catch up coming. We signed a few of these guys. Like these guys we signed were, they got cast off by other teams. So there's problems with them with their accuracy or whatever, but the possibilities are endless. Like people develop late. Jose Bautista developed late, and he's going to be on the level of excellence this year.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I believe it's August 12th. I think they're doing that.
Well, think of how many times Pittsburgh passed up on him. He played for 5 teams.
He played for 5, in 2008.
5 teams before he came to the Jays, and twice was Pittsburgh.
For Robinson Diaz.
Yeah.
Robinson with a Z.
Yeah.
Not Z. I actually have a thing for my fridge. It's a Mountie saying, in Canada it's Z, not Z.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to take that when I moved. Oh no! I forgot shampoo in my thing.
Well, I figured, today's sort of we're in spring training mode, so I figured we've got our feet wet on this one. We've done pretty much almost an hour.
Pretty much.
And
so
I'm starting to die.
Well, here's the only one thing I would want to ask you. So okay, 2 things.
Yeah.
So, does our management suck?
No.
Exactly. They did exactly what we need. We said we needed left-handed pitching. We needed another person, and we needed bullpen help. We need another starter. There we go.
We need left-handed hitting.
The other thing that I think gets overlooked is Bo Bichette signing away his arbitration years.
Yeah.
Now, people think he got shafted, right? It's like 33 million, could be 41. But if you look at the numbers of Trey Turner, Carlos Correa, Xander Bogaerts, all these guys who went through their ARB years, Bo potentially is going to make more than all of them would have. All of them did during that same period of time. Not by much, like a couple $1 million, but it's around the same thing.
Yeah.
So he's not ripping anybody off.
He just
right
gets,
in line.
He gets the opportunity to jump at a big contract because he's taking
his other thing
already.
Is he hates arbitration. He thinks the process is flawed in general. He thinks the whole arbitration thing is horrible. And the Jays didn't want, and he was going to be the one guy to go with $2.5 million difference between what he asked for and what the Jays offered, right?
Yeah.
So he now signs off for what Trey Turner pretty much got, and he's fine. Now he doesn't have to worry about arbitration.
Yeah.
Now he can focus on throwing the baseball to the first baseman into the chest.
Into the chest or the possible outstretched glove if they happen to be.
We are plus defense all over the field except for shortstop. He was, again, one of the worst defensive shortstops last year. But it isn't his range. We've talked about that. Yeah. And now that there's no shift anymore, and he can play in that position more than 40% of the time, because they shifted 60% of the time last year. The Jays are the team that shifted people the most. So now that he's back in his usual position, maybe he can develop habits that will make him better.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping. Do you think the Jays win the East?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think they do.
Definitely.
It'll be close. I think they'll get 95, 96 wins this year. I think that's defense and the extra additions and the changes might have bought us to get an extra 4 or 5. We could, if everything got fired the way it should, we could get 100, but I don't think we will.
It's tough.
They have the possibilities to do it, though.
Yeah, you win 60, you lose 60. It's what you do with the others that's what's going to happen, right?
Exactly. So I mean, I'm happy with the team the way it is. I mean, we could use another right-handed bat for the outfield instead, and then trade one of our utility guys for an extra bullpen arm. But other than that, woohoo!
Ooh, all right.
That's our alarm saying the show's over.
Well, that's also the fact that the battery pack is going to die on this thing as well. So, kids, peace. Good to see you again.
Watch your team. Watch the World Baseball Classic and support your Canadians, even though they could make it to the quarters. They could.
Yeah.
They won't.
It's tough. Yeah, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, U.S., pretty much any one of the agencies, right? So.
We had a tough draw too. So anyway, enjoy your baseball. We will be back.
Hopefully Mondays.
Yeah, we're going to aim for Mondays. Yeah, because Mondays are off days. And we will have a few guests. There is a guest I'm lining up currently right now who will be with us. But it has to be an off day Monday. It can't be because he can't do like game day Mondays, but he can do off day Mondays, so we're working on it.
All right.
Have fun not being here, everybody.
What was that send off that you said was really bad?
What? Have fun not being here?
Oh no, that one.
Oh, I mean go fuck yourself. No, that one. That's not. Oh yeah, we got to get rid of that 365 Sportscast.